Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I am your host, Juliarene.
And Kendall Graboff.
And today, guys, we're going to be answering your questions. So if you guys didn't know, we do have an email address because we're fancy like that. And
we also, I just want to add, we also now have an Instagram for our podcast and a Facebook group. So we're going to put all of those below and you can come join us and we can interact more and do more of these Q&As and other things that you guys want us to talk about.
Exactly. So now you can interact with us on the pod. You can interact with us on the group and on Instagram. And we're planning on just up-leveling the podcast in general this year so that the quality's better and the sound is better.
Our new set for those watching on YouTube.
Yes.
And we're going to start doing reels.
Exactly.
I'm so excited for us.
Yes. We're doing big things.
Big things.
Well, today, guys, we have a couple of questions that you guys emailed in, and we picked a couple of them, and we're going to answer them to the best of our ability. So the first one that we got is from Becky, and I really like this one because I'm a competitor, and she says, for first-time competitors in bodybuilding, at what point do you suggest getting a coach? For example, I want to compete in the spring. Would I want to get a coach right now or wait until a few months out? Love the pod. Thank you. Thanks, Becky. That's a really good question.
I personally think get the coach now. It's better to work with a coach in your off season. Then you get to know each other. They get to know how your body reacts to certain foods, cardio, whatever. So you're not just like, hey, I'm 12 weeks out, prep me.
Yes.
That's so hard to put on a coach that knows nothing about you.
I did that. So if anybody knows my journey enough, that Zach, my boyfriend, was coaching me from the very beginning when I started until...
He was my coach too.
He was Kendall's coach too, until like less than a year ago. And it just wasn't working out for us because it was really getting like in our relationship. I was literally asking him about my prep on our couple time. And it's just, you have to create boundaries. So I was like 8 weeks out from a show and I found a coach and was like, hey, learn everything about me. So don't do that. Luckily, he ended up being the most incredible coach and I'm really happy that I'm with him. But I totally agree with Kendall. Like the earlier, the better. A lot of people think that they can get show lean and hold themselves accountable by themselves for a show.
It's hard.
No.
It's really hard. Body dysmorphia sets in and you start to cut your calories lower than they need to be and you end up holding water because of that. And like I never coached myself, but like my first show ever, it was like a friend coaching me. So we kind of did it together and that happened. We both went way too aggressive. I started doing like 2 hours of cardio off the bat. And it's like, I wish I had hired a professional.
Yes, because where do you go from there?
Only lower.
Yeah, so if you start with...
Only to zero food.
Yeah, like if you start with low calories because you think that's what's going to work, then you can only go down from there. And then you're at like 0 calories. So we would say like the sooner the better. And it's very difficult, I understand, to find somebody that you can trust, that you honestly can tell them everything and not feel shame or guilt around maybe if you slip up or something's going on, or like even weirdly enough, like digestive problems. Like I literally had a conversation with my coach this week for my check down about my poop. And
periods too.
Periods.
Like you have to fully tell them everything.
Everything. So finding somebody that you can really vibe with, and I'm just going to do like kind of a shameless plug, but our friends Kerrigan Pike and her husband have a coaching business where they coach a lot of competitors, and I trust them so much. So if you're looking for somebody, I would definitely look out to them and have like a consultation and see if it's a good fit.
If I were to hire a coach right now, I think I would contact them. Not gonna lie. They've always like put amazing, like really shredded competitors on stage.
Exactly. And they're very knowledgeable and they know how to keep you healthy. And weirdly enough, one of our guests on our couple podcasts ago, Jazzy Fit, she just competed and she looked incredible and she was coached by them. So if
we
that
also
gives
had Kerrigan on the podcast.
Oh yeah, we had Kerrigan and she's a pro. So, you know.
Most of you know who she is by now, I'm sure.
Would you like to ask the next question?
I can. I haven't read any of these in advance, and I do hate reading out loud. So if I fumble, just like
doesn't it give you PTSD to when you were in school and they were
Literally?
like, Julia, read the paragraph here?
I had to count how many students, like until my paragraph would be pre-read it. Because if I pre-read something, if I know what's coming, I can read. If it's just thrown at me like these, I'm like, I start stuttering. I had to email like 3 of my teachers to stop calling on me in class because I had full-blown panic attacks in their classroom.
I did the same thing. I would count to be like, okay, if Jimmy is doing paragraph 1, then Susie's doing paragraph 2. Okay, by this time, and then I would literally memorize it myself. So I would go up there and be like, da 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 blah, 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 blah.
And then they think you're an amazing reader, so they keep calling on you. I had to tell them to stop.
I was like I'm literally losing my shit here.
Anyway, Stephanie asked how to maintain discipline when you feel like you're falling off the wagon. And then she did say, by the way, she loves us and like very nice stuff. So thank you, Stephanie. You can answer this one because I mean, we did kind of do a whole podcast about like getting back on track, but I feel like everyone's different.
I would say when you are feeling unmotivated and you want to get back on track, there's this thing. And people assume that they're supposed to be motivated all the time. And that's just not a fact. You are going to go through waves in life when you're motivated and when you're not. Phases where you push and phases where you pull back. And I have very much have the mindset of if I am not motivated all the time and I'm not grinding, then I'm failing. And it's really not true. And for me, it's like when I am feeling a little bit unmotivated, I'm feeling a little lost in maybe my training or my diet, I'm just really not wanting to stay on top of it. I start to ask my questions, okay, well, why? I love this thing. Why don't I want to do it anymore? Maybe I need to change my workout program. Maybe I need to stop doing bodybuilding workouts and go and do a Pilates class instead. I've totally done that before. So ask yourself, why are you feeling unmotivated? And why don't you want to be disciplined towards this thing? And maybe something will come up to where you're like, oh, I'm really getting tired of the thing that I'm doing. Because when you love what you do, there's no need for you to cultivate motivation because it's just there. So for me, I get really motivated in my on seasons. And then when I get into my off seasons, I'm kind of burnt out and I get a little bit unmotivated. And I used to be so hard on myself. And then I realized I was like, this is just another phase. It's a phase of life. And now I'm actually getting back into like feeling really motivated again to doing things. So just being okay with riding that wave. And when it does happen, just reflect.
I always say, be nice to yourself because me and you, like we used to, and I feel like this is the first year we were better about it. We used to beat ourselves up so hard if we weren't 100%. And I feel like just coming to terms with like, okay, I'm having an off week and I'm just going to continue, like just get through today. It doesn't have to be the best workout of your life every single day, but as long as you went to the gym, as long as you're holding yourself accountable, like you'll fall back into your patterns of discipline and motivation. So I do think just like take it day by day, be very nice to yourself. If you have an off day, don't be like, fuck, I ruined all my progress and like I'm never going to get it back again. And it's like, no, you just had an off day, get back on it tomorrow. Like that's all it takes.
And one thing that I don't know where I heard it from, but each day I kind of want you to think of it as a percentage. So like today, if I'm feeling unmotivated, maybe I'm only at 50%. 50% is my capacity to crush it. And if you go to the gym on that 50%, even though your workout might not be the best, you might not have the right mindset, maybe you ate a little bit off, but if you perform in that 50% as high as you can go, to me, that's a win.
It's like you're hitting 100% of your 50%. So you really are still giving it your all. It's just less than. I watched a TikTok. I watched a TikTok the other week where this girl was sharing like her squatting. Let's just say she was squatting 215 the week before her period. And she like, I think she failed or like her spotter had to help her up. And then she showed squatting 215. Is that the weight I said? Okay. I was like, I forget what number I was using. She squatted 215 like 2 weeks after her period, did it for reps. So that just proves to you like sometimes it's out of your control. Sometimes our bodies are just feeling a little weaker. You need to listen to that. Those are still recording.
Okay. Our camera made a little noise and I was like, what's happening? Well, moving into the next question. This question's from Beth. And she says, I was wondering what it takes to have sponsors in the fitness industry, specifically supplements, clothing, fitness gear. Do you have to look a certain way or do you have to have a lot of experience in the industry? And did you reach out or did they? This is a really good question because both of us.
I have the same question for people that have like more sponsors than me.
I know. I'm like, how do you do the thing? How do you do the thing that you think?
And I feel like we got our sponsors very different ways too.
There's definitely a combination of asking and waiting. For me, I would say this was one of the goals that I wanted to have since I started doing what I do. I had 800 followers on Instagram and I didn't have any other social media accounts. And that's what I wanted. Like what I do now is the goal that I wanted to have. And it took me honestly growing my social media platform to get noticed. And unfortunately, that's kind of a part of being able to get noticed because
it's like a sales associate. Like if you have no history of like, hey, these people trust my opinion and are willing to buy my sales, why would a company want to pour money or product into you?
Exactly. Exactly. Because it's about like the number of eyes that you have on you and how much engagement you have and how connected you are to your followers. So that does have a big part in becoming a fitness influencer and stuff, because companies really want to see like how engaged are people to you, because if they are, then ultimately you're going to make them more money. You're going to make yourself more money. But I would say like starting off with trying to grow your social media and be on, I would say like try to be on 2 social media platforms. Don't try to do them all. There's always there's people that say like, okay, only pick one and grow that one. But for me, my thought is be on Instagram, be on TikTok. But the reason being is because TikTok requires a completely different kind of content. You can literally post whatever you want on there and it doesn't matter. But on Instagram, it's a little bit more curated. It's a little bit more themed. So trying to start those 2 and grow them and really grow a connection with your audience. Like how can you show up and be there for your audience and really have them feel connected to you? Because that's the only reason that influencers are influencers, is because people feel some sort of connection to them. Yeah. Like you guys are listening to this and you might not have ever met us, but you feel a connection to us because you're listening to our voice. Yeah, we're buds. But
my biggest tip is, one, find products or brands or whatever that you actually want to work with. If you do grow your social media to a point and people start to approach you, don't just say yes to the first offer. One, you can negotiate. There's a lot of money and like different options when it comes to social media and marketing and all of that. So explore your options. Number 2, like if there's a certain brand you want, but this other one comes to you first, hold out for that brand. Like don't just settle with the first brand to come to you, because then you're not passionate about it. Then you're going to be like, crap, I still have to take photos for this one brand that I don't want to take photos for. Like then you're stuck in a contract. The second thing I would say is start supporting those brands you love. Like I got Iron Willed literally by just like following the page, following the owners, and actually liking their stuff. I started ordering their menswear. And then once they were creating the women's line, they reached out to me because they saw my interaction with them and their page. So just stay present, stay engaging, and then go for brands that you actually really want to work with.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, because I think a part of this question is like, how do you even get noticed? It's like, hey, I'm over here. Is growing that social media and showing them that like, yes, I have people that care about my journey, that are invested in me, and then supporting those brands by liking their photos, commenting on their stuff. What I did during that time is I set alarms for those brands that I wanted. So every time they posted, I was right on there.
That's smart. I haven't gone to that extent.
Yes. And I would message them, I'd react to their stories and stuff. And I never outright was just like, hey, I want to do this. But while I was growing,
you're in front of them over and over, they're noticing you.
Yeah. And it ends up paying off. So really just start to tag them in your photos. It seems like it's annoying, but really just do that. Because people who even tag me and stuff, I notice them because I go look at them. And I'm not like Alpha Lead or Buff Bunny.
I creep on all my followers all the time.
We're creeping on all of you guys.
I know that you do a little more reaching out and engaging with companies than I do. Do you have a method to like, if you were to ask for a brand deal, is there like a certain thing you look for, a certain thing you say, or do you just kind of go based on what the product is?
So for me, I do both email and Instagram DM. Okay. And then I also tell them, hey, I also emailed you, because honestly, like we live in a world where there's likely that they might check their DMs faster than their emails and emails faster than their DMs. So I literally have like a formula where it's like, hey,
it's smart.
My name is Juliarene. This is what I do. These are my values. I love this about your company, and having your values align with that company is so important. Trust me. If they don't align, you are going to regret signing with them. Yeah. So talking about how you value the same things that they do, and you really like appreciate their brand and what they support. Like, for example, I was working with Buff Bunny before, and they actually reached out to me, but we had a lot of values in line, that they supported all different shapes and sizes when they were sponsoring athletes and showing.
I love that about them.
Yeah. And that was like one thing that we really aligned with, and just saying like, I would love to work with your brand. I really, really admire it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is what I can do for you. This is how I can make your brand better. This is how I can showcase your brand to the world. Like actionable steps of things that you're going to do. I create YouTube video hauls. I do this. I can do this. And if you're ever...
I'm like taking notes over here.
If you're ever interested, I'm here and I'm ready to go. I appreciate your feedback, and what can I do to grow and maybe become an athlete? Like always asking that question, like, what can I do better?
CEOs respect that. Like they want someone that's like hustling or confident to represent them. So if you're the one reaching out and you're like, hey, like I know I can do this. Like when we had Kayla on the podcast, she was obsessed with Ghost.
Yes.
And she just kept reaching out and she was like, okay, now what? Like now what? What do you want me to hit? What do you want me to do? Because I know I want to work for you. And then obviously they're building such a bond through that instead of just like, oh, hey, we like your following. Here's some product. Can you post it? Like that's less of a connection.
Exactly. And that's goes back to like the values and what you appreciate about the brand. And then the last thing that I want to say about that question, and it's slipping my mind as my mouth is moving.
I feel like this happens once a pod.
Dude, my brain just like, it's almost like the thoughts and it just like falls out. You were talking about Kayla and you were talking about the brands and you were talking about like the stuff that you want to do. Yeah. Oh my God, bro.
That's okay. If you think about it, we can come back.
Yeah, it's just
okay. My next question is from John. Have you ever utilized yoga or meditation in the past in terms of bodybuilding or exercise in general? If so, what type of either? Yes, I think we both have meditated. I've actually never done yoga ever.
Oh my God.
I feel like I would hate it. Like my body's always in pain. And I like stretching.
That's why you need it.
No, but like holding, Okay.
I thought the same thing when I started.
I think I'll like hot yoga. I like to like sweating when I exercise or I don't feel like I'm doing enough. But meditation, yeah. I actually am just now getting back into meditation. I use the Calm app, I think. I've tried a few apps. I like guided meditations. I've gotten to a place, it's surprising because I have like pretty extreme ADHD. I'm really good at turning my brain off. Like I'm not to toot my own horn, a really good meditator. So I started liking it like really early on and really fast. And I used to do it every single day when I was in prep. I would sit in like an Epsom salt bath or lay in bed because I just can't like sit there. And it helped my brain so much and really like, I don't know, just aligned my motivation and like calmed me, especially getting closer to the show when you're like super nervous. I feel like it's really good to just like recenter yourself. Yeah.
You just really are reconnecting with yourself and with the universe for a hot second because we never really do that. We're always doing something for someone else, for our job, for our relationships. We're always in the matrix of it all. And then just taking that like second for yourself to sit there with your own thoughts. And I think that's what's so scary for people is to sit alone with your own thoughts. And maybe that's why people don't meditate, because I understand. You sit there and your brain starts to run and run and run and run and run. And you think that that's a bad thing, but that's your brain's job. Yeah. Your brain's job is to think, and that is okay. And it's just learning how to recognize, oh, I'm thinking about work while I'm supposed to be while I'm supposed to be working.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just come back down to my meditation, come back down. If you guys want, I have a video on YouTube on how to meditate.
I've never watched that one from you.
Yes, on how to meditate. And I do yoga. I do it, not going to lie, haven't done it in a really long time.
Let's go do yoga together.
For real.
I don't want to do it alone. I'm scared.
I'm doing 75 hard right now. And since my body is trashed after yesterday's workout, I'm going to do yoga inside today because, it's going to be so bad because I haven't done it in a long time. But for all the bodybuilders out there, if you want to be a better poser, do yoga. Because when you're bodybuilding posing, you have to move your body and you have to like contort it and it hurts. And most of us can barely touch our toes. So doing that, it became one of my favorite things to do because it is a form of meditation, because you're just in there super connected with your body because you have to be in order to like do the things right and make sure you don't fall. And yeah, so if you want to be a better poser, do some yoga.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
What's your next
question?
My
next question is from Allison. Allison says, first off, hi ladies. Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Absolutely love listening to your podcast every single Monday and Wednesday. I can't thank you enough for being so raw on y'all's journeys from the very beginning. Question. Do you have any tips on starting a podcast? If so, what are some of the tips you recommend to get started? Anything you wish you knew before starting the podcast? Yes. I'm wanting/curious about starting a podcast on my journey and experience, but I have no clue where to begin. Just want to inspire others. Thank you. Awesome, Allison. You're already on the right track. Like you're already starting with a very hard why.
Yeah.
Man.
I feel like that's the first question you need to ask is what do you want it to be centered around? If it is multiple things, do they fall under like an umbrella? Like ours is obviously like health, mental health, physical health, relationship health, like just health in general. So I think about like finding what your main topic is so that you know kind of what your goal is every episode. So you're not just like sitting here aimlessly talking, which some podcast goal is just entertainment. And I love those.
True.
But I think it's good to have like what's your goal from this podcast? It's like number one. Really
finding what your niche is and things that you want to talk about. Cause there's like, you're right. There's podcasts on everything. Like I listen to you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I listen to the Office Ladies podcast and all they do is talk through each of the Office episodes and like what happened and the actors on it. And I freaking love that. But then I also listen to like business ones and then I listen to fitness ones and stuff like that. So finding your niche and really honing in what it is you want to talk about.
I think another thing going with that is, do you want to do these alone? Do you want to co-host? Do you want multiple co-hosts? Do you want to be interviewing people? Because we had switched gears. We originally were like, it's just going to be us talking. And then we were like, let's start inviting people on. And that we actually found out we would love doing that. So I feel like just figuring out if you want to do it alone or with people. That's another big one. Another one's equipment wise. It is a huge investment. We've spent I feel like we're constantly spending more money. Like, we were talking about the new set today. Like, obviously we had to buy all of this. We already had the mics. We have the mic stand. We have the roadcaster thingy. We have 2 cameras on us. Like
we have a light.
We have a light. We just found out we need another light. We found out we need more sound muffling. God. So like there's so much that goes into it.
But you don't have to do all of that at first. Like when Kendall and I first started this, really we just all like pulled in our money. We got a place to sit and we were holding our mics. Like if you guys have watched the YouTube videos before, and slowly we have added more things as I
feel like every YouTube video of us is like something new is so thrown different. In there. We're like, we bought a new pillow and then we bought a mic stand.
Yes, we're learning, guys. We're learning along with you, but logistic wise, if you are wanting something that's more like the setup that Kendall and I have, which is the Rodecaster and like the standing mics, you can buy it on Amazon and it comes in a whole set. It's a Rodecaster set, very easy to use, very simple.
If you do the Amazon links thing, we could just link ours.
Oh my God, you're right. I don't know why I don't have all of our gear on my Amazon favorites, but it will be.
I have a whole like photography and videography sub thing on mine. So yeah, either of our like Amazon link things, I think help.
I'll link them down below. Cool. And then as far as like getting your podcast out to all the platforms, the platform that we use is Buzzsprout, and it's like a one-stop shop there. We upload it there and it uploads it to Google, it uploads it to iTunes and Spotify. So I think there's another one that's called like Hanger. So research which one's going to work best for you. And then there's even mics that are single ones, and they're literally like,
I've seen those,
like the phone size.
Yeah.
You can even go there and it's a cheaper route, especially if you don't know, like if you want to have guests or whatever, you can start there in your closet, just talking to the camera.
That's how Emma Chamberlain does hers. Is she's always like, I'm just laying out my closet right now and I'm just filming this. And I'm like, that's sick. That's all you really need. And then you'll just go up from there. Is that it for that one? Right. My next one is, I'm going to butcher your name and I'm sorry. I think it's Zulema. I'm sorry if that's wrong. Yeah, maybe that's it. She asked, is there any food that you completely avoid in your diet? And I feel like I'm a great one to answer this. I avoid everything because everything upsets my tummy. I'm undetected celiac, but I treat it like I'm celiac, which is basically just pretty extreme gluten intolerance. So glutens and grains and stuff like that, I typically stay away from. I'm also intolerant to majority of the vegetables, which sucks because when you're in prep, you're like, well, at least I can have veggies. Nope, can't have those either. I can have like a few, but like cauliflower, this is the really crappy part, which I don't think I've explained to you. So most substitutes for gluten is cauliflower. Like if you think about a gluten-free pizza, it's a cauliflower crust.
Right.
I'm more intolerant to cauliflower.
How do you live life?
So I can't have either. I just eat air typically. I'm like, how am I not like super skinny is my question, because I feel like I'm not eating that much. That's my favorite saying right now.
Me too.
If I go to bed and I'm like, I'm not going to have dessert, I'm being a skinny legend.
I called my mom that the other day and she was like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know. I just like it.
I like it too. I think of Mariah Carey in that Photoshopped photo. Have you seen that?
No.
That's where that came from.
Oh.
They like Photoshopped her waist to be like an inch and okay, whatever. This is a tangent. Anyway, I'm intolerant to everything. So I have a lot of things not in my diet recently, because I always had the bodybuilder mentality for like years. And then we've talked about like our binge eating disorders and like just a lot of struggles with food. I used to not care about what was healthy for my hormones or my internal health or my mental health. I used to only eat to diet. And I feel like recently I'm adding in more things like fruit, which I never had before. Yeah. I'm listening to my body where if I feel a craving for a certain food, I'm kind of leaning into that. So I don't have a ton of restrictions right now because I'm not in any sort of prep. I'm not in any sort of forced bulk. I'm just kind of eating intuitively. So like once a week, I might grab like poke or sushi or pizza or whatever I'm feeling. And then the rest of the days are pretty like boring meals of like turkey, rice, avocado. That's like 90% of my diet.
You know what I really want?
What? Okay. I haven't had it in a while.
I haven't had it in like 2 weeks.
I haven't had it in like a week. That feels so long now.
It does. I'm so mad about it.
Is there anything you can't eat because you're not allergic to
I'm a garbage disposal.
Or that you don't eat? Are there certain things even in your off season you're like either that's a trigger food for you or just something you don't go to? Okay.
I eat everything.
So that question was just for me.
That was for Ken. I literally wrote Kendall's name right by it.
My name next to it.
I was like, Ken. Belly issues.
Belly issues.
Okay, this next question is from Naomi. She says, hello, I'm a big fan. Question number 1, how do you break up with your workout buddy who happens to be your best friend? Ooh, we need to tea, Naomi. How do you stay strong and stick to your cutting diet when you live with your partner who's bulking? So let's start with the first one.
I've never had a workout buddy.
Me either.
Okay.
We're
painfully independent.
We're painfully loners.
I'll work out with Julia sometimes, and if we're like, we had a day or two in there where she's like in prep and has to hit certain workouts, and I'm in my off season living my life, not having the best of workouts, and we were like, should we hit legs together? And I was like, I kind of just want to get a light pump, and you were like, okay, then let's not hit legs together. That's all it needs to be. You can have an adult conversation and be like, hey, our workouts, like I want to try something new. Or I mean, I guess it depends why you're breaking up with them.
I know, I'm so curious. My toxic trait is I love the tea. I don't like having my own tea.
The way you said that was like a mom being like, oh my God, what's the tea? What's the 411?
My other like personality is literally like a MILF that
I like that you're like labeling yourself as a MILF.
When I go to the grocery store, I always like to imagine that like I wear the cutest outfit, I have my hair curled, I have my makeup done always. I go to the grocery store and like I like to grab like a little Starbucks on the way, and I envision that I'm just like this MILF that has like 2 of the perfect like adorable kids, and I just do yoga and I'm like skinny legend.
I like embodying like, okay, if I go to HEB, I'm a rat. If I go to like if I go to Whole Foods, I'm that bitch.
That's actually so true. You have to dress differently. If I go to Walmart, ooh, no makeup, one eyelash on.
Exactly. But if I'm at Whole Foods and Sprouts, like catch me in my best posture. I'm like, my makeup's done. Like
skinny legend walking down aisle 5.
Funny. I do that. That's like my ultimate form I want to achieve is being a MILF.
Yeah. This is no dog on that. Literally my goal in life is to be a MILF.
I feel that.
The end. What was this question about?
What was the question? Leaving your workout partner.
Okay. This is so hard.
I think it depends. If you're like breaking up as friends, whole different conversation.
Yeah. If it's like maybe your goals aren't aligned, I think that can definitely be
just have
an adult conversation about. And it's definitely how you go about it. So for me, I just started reading this book on boundaries, and wow. I was like, this book is not going to be cool.
Send it to me.
What do you need to know on boundaries? And it's about there's 3 different types of boundaries. So this might be one of those boundaries that you need to set as far as like your goals are here, my goals are here. And it's really just about having a conversation. I know you're listening to this and being like, I don't want to. But if you don't have conversations with people, your boundaries are going to continuously be broken.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, when I told Kendall that no, I can't do that workout, that was a form of setting a boundary. Yeah. But luckily, I have a really awesome best friend.
I didn't cry about it.
That didn't cry about
it.
She was like, "Okay, cool, bro. Bye. I'm gonna go get poke."
I think different ways to approach it. Like if you're working out together every day and that's what you want to change, just be like, "Yo, can we just work out once a week?" Or something like that. Like you don't have to never see this person, or like still go to the gym at the like. If it's a couple, I know a lot of couples like to go to the gym at the same time, but do separate things.
That's
so that
Zach
too,
and I
you can
do.
be like, yo, we can still drive there. We can still like take our pre together and then we'll do our own workouts. I think I like that my toxic trait is like avoidant attachment style. So
That
I'm like,
was one of
I
the
would
things.
switch gyms and never see that person again.
Yep. That was one of the things in the 3 boundaries was like, this is how they might respond. Ghosting. You're the ghoster.
I'm the ghoster.
And it was like passive aggressiveness or trying to
I'm like,
force
fine.
you to
I
undo
hope
it.
you have a good workout.
Yeah. I was like, damn, this is crazy. So I'm sorry about that. But let's
need
go
to
into
read
that
that
next
book.
question. And it was about a bulk, I think. Allison, where's my questions?
It was something about wasn't it eating with a significant other.
Yes. How do you stay strong and stick to your cutting diet when you live with a partner who's bulking? This is literally my life. This is because
So
Zach
you can
doesn't
take it.
Zach doesn't compete anymore, and for 6 months out of the year, I'm on a strict diet for prep. So it's really, really hard. Luckily, my partner is very health focused, so it's not like he's ordering things all the time. But I'm going to be honest, there's times where Zach would order something from DoorDash when I was on prep, and I get genuinely mad. Genuinely, I'd be like, and it's just a projection of how I'm feeling because I'm feeling very depleted. I'm wanting these things. And it's funny because I would make Instagram posts and be like, look what he's eating while I'm on prep as like a joke. But the thing is that this is your choice.
Yeah.
You are choosing to live your life like this.
You can't like expect everyone around you to drop everything they're doing
Exactly.
because you're choosing to step on a stage.
Exactly. And it's like when I go out with family to like a restaurant and I can't really have what they're having if I'm on prep, my mom will be like, I'm so sorry. And, can you? And I'm like,
that.
And I'm literally like,
No offense to Julia's
don't.
mom in the slightest. I have told my family when they take a bite of something and they go, oh, it's not even that good. I'm like,
stop.
Infuriated.
I
I'm like,
am
just
same.
enjoy your food. I'm fine. I'm choosing to do this. I'm fine. Oh yeah. But again, I think it's one of those, just communicate it. Talk to your partner. Be like, hey, I'm having a hard time because you're eating these foods in front of me. Is there something we can do? Can we eat on different schedules?
Exactly.
Can you, if you're going to get pizza, can you eat it at the pizza place? Just like little things you could ask for. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Exactly.
But if they don't know that it's bothering you, it's just going to get pent up.
Yeah. Like, for example, I never even told Zach, like, can you help me with this? All I did was express. I was like, okay. I was like, obviously, this is my choice. I am choosing to diet. I am choosing to be very strict and I'm choosing to follow this goal that I have. It's nothing against you. And I was like, but sometimes when you get these DoorDash orders, I was like, it's a little triggering for me. And this is not me telling you to stop. And that's all I said to him. And sometimes he would get his food and he'd eat it in the car and then come home. Or he would literally just like have the DoorDash bag and he would go upstairs and he would eat it in his office. And look, this is a Zach being very nice. This person doesn't even owe you this. I'm going to be honest with you, but it's just about focusing on what your goals are and like, okay, I chose this. Remember your goal. Focus.
I think that's when meal prep can really help too, because if your meals are already made and they're getting their meal and you're sitting there cooking, then you're just going to be like, well, I hate this person. They're eating this burger in front of me. If you already have your meal, just like make that when you grab your meal. Like, I feel like that just makes it more easy.
Yeah. I think for me too, it was difficult when he was eating and I wasn't eating. So if he did order DoorDash, I felt better when I was eating my prep meal next to him than not eating at all.
I get that.
And I was like we're eating together.
It's like, oh, I'm having my ground beef and rice while you're having
I would
your
also
burger.
do this thing
It's
where
the
I would
same thing.
pretend to eat what he was eating. Like when he'd take his bite, I'd take a bite.
I'm a big sniffer. Like even yesterday,
Hold on. Let's just rewind. Kendall just said, I'm a big sniffer.
I'm about to explain.
Okay, what? Go ahead.
Like yesterday, I was with someone and he got donuts, and I literally looked at him and went, "Can I smell them? Because I can't have donuts, but I want the donut." So as he was eating them, I was like, "Can I have a sniff?" And I would just go, "Okay, thank you."
Kendall's
and
done
then
that to me
continue
before.
eating.
Not can I have a bite, but can I have a sniff?
Can I have a sniff? Because I can't eat it.
Let us know, guys, if you're a sniffer.
But I do that in prep too.
You do.
That's all.
That's my TED Talk. Ooh.
I'm a big sniffer.
All right, Kendall.
I'm a little tired today, and I feel like I'm more like
She's a little loopy.
hysteria when I don't even know what that word means. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, my next one's a big paragraph, and I don't know how I feel about that.
You want me to read it?
No, I got it.
Okay.
It's another digestive one, so mostly for me, but I do think that like everyone deals with this. Do you have any tips for digestive health when prioritizing protein intake? And then she went on to share like kind of her stomach issues with like IBS, which is super common in bodybuilding because we eat such low calorie a lot of the time. But a lot of people are sensitive to like whey protein and pea protein. True. Pea protein does set off IBS. I know that. And then whey protein, so many people have a lactose intolerance and don't even know it. Yes. I do recommend going and getting allergy tested. When Zach was my coach, he had me do a Viome test. It gives you like a full analysis of your gut health, allergies, like foods to stay away from, foods that are really good for your bacteria. And all these other things. But I do feel like protein shakes, I just stay away from in general. Like those are just not good for my gut health. Can you eat those? Or
I can after First Form. So this is like shameless plug, but First Form's protein powder literally debunks all of this. Because look, yes, there are people that they just have to stay away from whey protein, no matter where it comes from. Yeah. But First Form makes their protein powder and they make it at a low temperature processing. So I want you to...
Is it considered an isometric protein?
I should know this.
Okay. Because I do know isometric protein. Like if you're reading just packaging, I would please do your research because this is coming out of my ass.
Do your research.
But I'm pretty sure it's right. Iso protein in general just goes through another level of processing. So it's taking more of like the whey and lactose out of it. So it's probably an iso. I could be wrong.
Maybe.
Totally guessing.
The way that the First Form supplement guru explained it to me is that most protein powders are cooked at a very high temperature. It's almost like you're blasting the protein. So imagine like having burnt protein powder. As well as far as like the First Form protein, it's cooked at a very low temperature, very slow. Like it's on like a little simmer. So like if you're cooking like an egg and you like blast it and it cooks too fast and it gets burnt and then like the yolk is all hard. Imagine that's what most proteins are like.
Yeah.
And then as far as the low temperature, you cook a little egg on a little simmer and you flip it and it's perfect.
I love this analogy.
So it's weird because that actually helps with digestion. So if it's cooked at a high temperature processing, then that's where most people react to whey protein. That was me. I would have it. I'd feel like gurgly. I'd be like, ugh. And it would really make me bloated. After switching to First Forms, never had that problem. It was so crazy. So if you have an intolerance to whey, then maybe you can't have whey at all. Maybe you just need to do like the vegan or the pea protein or hemp. But if you are having just like sensitivities, I would try switching over to First Form. There's links in the description also if you want.
Is it code Julia or is it just a link?
It's a link.
Okay, it's a link.
Just a link.
She also did add that sweeteners aside from, wait, hold on. Any sweeteners aside from stevia. So I'm assuming stevia bloats her too, also really common. Being away from bodybuilding and away from like diet food culture has really healed my gut. And I think it's because things like, I love all these products too, which really sucks. But like even Quest chips, like that is a fully like protein hydrolyzed stevia pumped product. Like,
I love them.
Yeah, protein bars. Like all of those are so bad for your digestive health though. Like they're healthy from a standpoint of I'm trying to lose weight. They're not healthy from a standpoint of my internal health and digestive health. So just taking an analysis of like how many of your foods are processed and how much is whole natural foods. Because if you're eating chicken, turkey, beef, like maybe one of those upset your stomach, but it won't be as detrimental as if you're eating a bunch of processed food.
It also won't be as difficult to figure out what's causing the trigger because like there's guys, Kendall and I are the biggest fans of the fake sugars. And
No, I love it.
I'm just going to be honest. Like I love me a zero sugar Monster.
I have an energy drink right there. Yeah, all stevia.
I love them. But when you're on prep, you notice them so quickly because you're eating such whole foods. And then when you have an energy drink that has like all of those like fake sugars, things that make it 0 calories, then you get bloated and you're like, oh, so this is what I've been feeling the whole time. I just didn't know because it's in my everyday diet. So
if you have so many different foods and a lot of them are processed, it's a lot harder to pinpoint what's the issue. Like this year, most of my foods are whole natural foods and I was having stomach issues. I was like, where is this coming from? The first thing I tried was taking out egg whites. Problem solved.
Wow.
So it's so easy when you're only working with like 5 different types of foods instead of like all of these varying factors. Not saying that you are, it's just one of those things. And then she is asking if we know anyone in the fitness industry that's good with digestive advice. I don't listen to a whole lot. I do mostly like reading on my own. But if you can think of a certain coach or something.
I can't think of any coaches that like really focus on that.
Most coaches should know what they're talking about when it comes to digestive health if they're a reputable coach. So I feel like, because if your goal is to step on stage and you're getting a coach anyway, just be super transparent with all of your issues. Yeah.
And going back to the Viome test that Kendall was talking about, I do this every year when I start prep. I do it a couple weeks before I start, so I know it literally gives you a category: enjoy, avoid, minimize. And it's as simple as that. Enjoy these foods, minimize these foods, avoid these foods. And in the minimize section, it even gives you how much you can have per day that's a good healthy weight before you feel bloated or sick. So
it's changed my life.
We have a lot of links that need to be in the description today.
Another link. We don't have to link it, but with the Viome test, it also gives you like what bacteria you're missing from your gut. So then you know what probiotic or prebiotic to take. First off, if you're not taking a pro or prebiotic, I highly recommend. I would stay away from those like gut cleansing, like 3-day cleansers, whatever.
Oh, that's called a diarrhea cleanse.
It's just stripping your stomach of the good bacteria that is in there or in your intestines. So instead, take something that's fueling good bacteria. Take a pre or probiotic. That's my biggest tip. And a lot of those can, if you already have, I don't want to get super scientific. If you already have a certain like bacteria in your gut, intaking more might bloat you. You need to find what probiotic actually works for your body, because there's a ton of different types. And the Viome does tell you.
It does. That's what I did.
It's just a huge ad for Viome.
I know. We're not sponsored. We genuinely use it a lot. And you're right, because if you keep putting in the same kind of stuff that's already in your body, it's not going to do anything. Yeah. It's almost like you need to supplement. That's why supplements are called supplements. You need to supplement the things that aren't in your gut that need to be there. And Viome will literally give you an exact link to what your body needs. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it definitely helped me.
Anyways, that was a little bit of a tangent.
That was a lot. But I mean, digestive issues are super common, especially in bodybuilders or anyone that's in the diet food culture where you're intaking so many artificial sweeteners and fake stuff.
Protein poops.
Yeah, like I remember back in like biology class when I was in like, what grade is that? Like 8th grade.
You remember things from those?
Yeah. So this is the only thing that stuck with me, is she was talking about why fat-free, sugar-free, all of those are bad. And I was like, no way. Like that's all I eat, because I was like trying to be a skinny legend.
This podcast title needs to be called How to Be a Skinny Legend.
I'm honestly down for that. Anyway, she was explaining like why from a biological level it's so bad for your body, because it's taking out all of the nutrients and substituting it with stuff to make it lower calorie.
Exactly.
And yeah, I am finally listening to that woman.
Yeah. Okay, this next question is from Tiffany. She says, really loving your content. So I have an issue that I love your perspective on for the podcast. After being in a cut for over a year and a half, I've plateaued over the last 6 months due to metabolic adaptation, and I'm having a lot of difficulty leaning out. My calories are also super low, but I'm not making any progress. How can I speed my metabolism back up so I can get past the plateau and continue to lean out? I eat very clean and track my calories. I'm 5'5", stuck at 550. Wow, dude, words. Stuck at 153.
She's 550 pounds?
To anyone that is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that wasn't an insult.
With a body fat percentage at 21%, trying to get to 18. I'm also currently lifting and doing cardio 6 days a week, but still stuck. Please help.
You
need a diet break.
You need a break.
We almost said the same thing at the same time. Damn it.
Your body is exhausted from cutting for a year and a half. You're not giving it any break, which means you just have to keep chipping lower and lower and lower, because your metabolism is adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. If you're already eating like 1,000 calories, to get below that, if you're at a plateau, to get below that, you either have to do a ton of cardio and you're ruining your hormone health and your metabolism health, or you need to start eating under 1,000 calories, which is just so unhealthy from every aspect.
Yes.
You need a break. If you even just took a week off and like had some cheat meals and stopped doing cardio for a week, if you got back to it, you would adjust like that.
Not only would it be good for your physical, but your mental health as well.
Mental health, yeah.
Like the reason that we're so passionate about this is because Kendall and I have both done this. We have both done this. Guys, when I got my pro card, this is what I did to my body. And I barely got my pro card because I pushed it 2 extra weeks to get it. But I had been dieting for such a long time trying to reach that goal. And after it, my body was done. So much so that when I went from the first national show and I got 5th and I had to push for 2 more weeks to get my first place win and get my pro card, my body was stuck. And that's what happens when you over diet, when you over exercise, your body starts giving up on you and stops responding in the way that you want it to. So it ends up having the reverse effect. So for me, now that I'm with my new coach, he told me you need to take a year off from dieting.
And it's hard to hear.
It's so hard to hear.
And it's scary to take a break.
It is. And I know you're listening and it might not be what you wanted to hear. Maybe you wanted some tips and tricks on how to be a skinny legend, but this, I'm telling you, you will have such a better physique if you do this. So right now I am 6 months into my year off from competing and I feel great. I have a lot of energy. I'm still working out. I'm lifting very heavy. And I'm not shredded and I'm not super lean, but this is necessary for me to be on stage, or even if you're not going to step on stage, it's necessary for me to show up and be the best that I absolutely can be. Because if I over diet, over exercise for an extended amount of time, it's going to have the opposite effect. I'm going to end up going on stage and I'm not going to look as good as I want to.
That's on everyone. And stress plays such a role in how our body looks and holds on to weight that if you're constantly stressing about not losing weight, you're actually making it worse with the not losing weight aspect. I think it's hard to heal here, and I don't think you need to take like a full year off like competitors do. If you're like a lifestyle person, you're just cutting because you have this goal in mind, just take a week or 2 off. That doesn't mean you don't have to work out. You can still lift. Just like give yourself a diet break. Like let yourself relax a little more, stop the cardio or cut back on it a tiny bit. Like if you're doing 5 times a week, just cut it down to 3 and see how you feel, and add in a little more carbs, add in a little more fats.
Oh my God. It's Zach. Zach is such a noob. He's literally, oh my God, I'm going to kill him. He's blending a shake right in the middle of our podcast. Well, guys.
Gotta love him.
Kendall and I's goal is to have a perfect podcast, but I think that's dumb. We're never going to have a perfect podcast.
I feel like that's what makes us fun.
I was like,
it's kind of a shit show.
I am very sensitive to noise. So the second I hear like anybody breathing too loud, or like tapping, or even a blender from all the way downstairs. I'm like, who goes there?
Anyway, yes. I think the moral is just give yourself a break. There is no special trick that's going to get you past a plateau. Again, like this is her circumstance. If it is someone who like you just started cutting and you're not immediately losing weight, stick with it for a little while. See if you respond. If you don't, you might have to cut lower. But for someone like this who's already super regiment on their exercise, nutrition, and everything above, you need a break. That's the only way to get your stuff rolling again.
It's very true. And you'll start to see your energy level go up. Your body starts to lose the inflammation. Your strength is going to go up. And those are all the things that you want to happen. So it seems counterintuitive. You're like, wait, eat more, train less,
you
do
might even
better.
Lose weight in that week off.
I've literally done this.
Yeah.
There was a time where I put my body under so much stress. And this was when Zach was my coach. And he's like, you are so stressed, your body and your mind, because I wasn't losing weight. So I was stressing about it. That you're holding on to water. I'm telling you, for 2 to 3 days, Zach gave me a little bit more food. It wasn't even like cheat meals. He gave me a little bit more food, and I stopped cardio and stopped training altogether. I'm not saying this is what you need to do as your regimen. I lost 3 pounds.
Just because you're not stressed.
And I literally went to Zach and was like, I lost 3 pounds. And he goes, I told you.
It's so good for your hormones too. Because if you're in a cutting phase for so long, especially like as an adult female, like our hormones are doing like, what the fuck are you doing? Like we're supposed to be maintaining a healthy levels to like, I mean, from like a human nature standpoint to like fuel having a baby. So if we're like cutting below what's healthy for that. Julia's face for the people not watching. Anyway, if you're not maintaining a healthy level that allows our body to do its natural function, our bodies are already stressed out, let alone cutting below that.
It's very true. And it's very necessary for women to have more fats. Like women require more fats in their diet than men do.
I do really well on high fats. Like not keto, but like I keep my fats pretty. I have avocado with like every meal.
Do you mind me asking how many fats you have a day?
I don't know.
Grams?
It's probably like 60. Is that low?
That's high.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's if I'm guessing. I don't calculate anything right now, but like I keep my carbs moderate and like I will have some meals with no carbs and higher fats. But I'm not doing like the 70-20, whatever keto is.
Yeah,
I'm not
insane.
I still eat a lot of carbs too and a lot of protein. I had something else I wanted to say about this, but I already forget it. I'm pulling a U.
Damn. So many thought.
I feel like we should be done.
I'm just saying the word thought over and over again. That's
so many
all.
thought. Oh my God.
All right, the end.
Flip these for a real, Ian.
Dude, why do we have a podcast?
Anyway, I do think that's everything. Unless you have any more.
That's it, man. We're over.
I like doing Q&As.
I do too. They're fun.
We're going to do more. You got to follow us either on Instagram or in the Facebook group because that's where we're going to be posting the Q&A links.
Definitely. Do that. And also email us your questions.
Yes.
knowyourpowerpodcast@gmail.com.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, guys.
I don't know. I was like, I don't know what the closeout is, so you got to do it.
I always do it. Well, that's going to be it today for the video. We love you all so much, and you are more powerful than you think.
Bye.
Bye.